I'm alright. Don't worry about me. Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be having a look at my top 6 citrus eau de cologne style fragrances that I recommend for men. So a really interesting topic, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by eau de colognes in a moment. Don't forget though, if you really like the video and you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down there, then you won't miss any of my future videos. So eau de cologne fragrances, citrus eau de colognes, it's a specific style in my view. A lot of people in America call any men's fragrance a cologne. In Britain, a lot of people still just refer to them as aftershaves. So even Dior Sauvage or Aventus would be aftershaves or colognes, depending where you are. What we mean here is the eau de cologne style fragrance. That's a concentration, which is a low concentration of perfume oil, and the style, more importantly, the smell, is traditionally a very citrusy, clean, bright, effervescent type of smell, which is not normally expected to last very long or necessarily be massive in its projection in filling a room, but some of us might wish that some of these were. Just to remind guys, by the way, you can buy my fragrance, Gravitas Pour Homme by Naughton and Wilson, from fantastic perfumer John Stephen. The link for that is in the description, the Naughton and Wilson website. It's only available as I shoot this in the UK and the EU. We are restocking in the USA very soon. We had a recent great review from Mark Benck, the writer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. His website or a blog is called the Colognoisseur, a very esteemed writer, not from our YouTube world. We didn't send it free. Someone gave him a sample and he gave us a great review. I'll link that also in my description. So one of the most famous ones, of course, is 4711. That's going to be the first one in my list. By the way, did anyone see the great Jeremy Fragrance video this week? He did one on FARINA 1709. That is the actual original eau de cologne. He tells the story better than I will. A gentleman from Italy moved over to Cologne and started making this lovely perfume, and apparently was one of the first fragrances, or Jeremy says the first, to have bergamot in it, and he gave the fragrance the name eau de cologne in honor of his adopted city of Cologne. I really want to try that one now. I haven't actually tried it. I think it's about 50-60 pounds for 100 ml, so it's not the cheapest of the cheap. Let's get into my top 6 that I own. So with these fragrances, we're talking about a low concentration of perfume oil, although some of them are now eau de toilettes, but still have the eau de cologne kind of fragrance style, if that makes any sense. So these are very light, simple, usually, type of fragrances with generally many citrus notes, a very bright, effervescent kind of scent. They probably don't have a complex development. They don't go through many different stages, but there will often be some floral tones and little herbal, green kind of things in there too. It's a very beautiful style of fragrance. Just a shame some of them don't last as long as we'd like. The one that I'm going to pick first then, they're in no particular order here, is 4711. The house is now called 4711, a German company. I've got a huge 300ml bottle here. You can pick that up for about £18, and there are other sizes available too. It's a very crisp, soapy kind of smell, beautiful opening, various kind of citrus accords, orange blossom and neroli are clearly in there for me, and I think there are some white musky tones in there as well, almost like I very much visualize the pith of an orange, that little bit of white stuff between the skin and the flesh, maybe even orange or a lemon. It has that kind of aura to me, and it's very pleasant and very simple. Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino smells quite similar, a bit different but pretty similar, and was, many people think, modelled on it, because you can see the colour is kind of similar to the packaging on Tom Ford. This one is very pleasant. I've been using it as a kind of hand sanitizer substitute in the recent situation. It doesn't last very long. It's not really a substitute for a proper eau de toilette. You can splash it on after the shower and you'll feel good for about 10, 15 or 20 minutes. Some of the ones in this list are a bit better than that in performance. Let's move on to one that is ACQUA Classica from Borsari, a relative newcomer to the game because it came out in 1880 apparently. I just picked this one up relatively recently. I'm not sure what's happened. It used to have slightly different and rather nicer looking packaging from what I can see. Very simple little bottle now, about £25-ish for a 50ml, which you have to buy online. You won't find it in many shops or anything like that. ACQUA Borsari, again, a very, very beautiful aroma with this one. Slightly more complex, more to it than the 4711. It opens with, to me, I pick up on a lemon verbena note, which is not officially listed. You've got various citrus notes listed in this one. Actually, I'll list a couple of them. Lime, bergamot, orange, basil, rosemary, geranium, ginger, ivy, sandalwood, musk and oak. This one has a beautiful fresh citrusy opening, which reminds me of Neroli Sauvage from Creed, which can only be a good thing. Maybe Eau de Rochas from Rochas as well would be another reference point. Both more expensive than this. Certainly the Creed one much more expensive, maybe the Eau de Rochas, same kind of ballpark. And then we have a very interesting kind of herbal green mid to this fragrance. Almost herbal stroke spicy elements in the fragrance, and a very, very nice dry down of what I feel is a kind of crisp white woods, maybe cedar wood. They list actually sandalwood, musk and oak, but okay, my nose for woods, obviously not the best, but I get a kind of dry, crisp, clean, woody dry down in the base, and that reminds me again of a Creed style dry down a little bit, which can only be a good thing for the price. Really, really pleasant, better in performance than 4711, by no means beast mode. Certainly the sillage is modest, but it does last well. It certainly has lasted through the night, so that when I wake up in the morning it's still there as a skin scent the next day. Quite a bit going on in that one, and almost a little bit of almost a patchouli accord, something a little bit giving it a depth and richness that we don't always get in the typical citrus eau de cologne style. Don't forget, if you'd like to join the Smelly Army private members club over on Patreon, there's a link in the description to do that. It costs just $2 a month and you get an extra video from me every week, plus you get to watch everything I've already uploaded in there. We're building a really nice community, lots of interaction, and I'd love to see you in there. Next up then, we're going to a much more recent release, but hardly recent at all, because it's Eau de Guerlain from 1974. There are quite a number of eau de cologne style fragrances in these bottles from Guerlain. This one seems to be less discounted than a lot of the others. Eau de Cologne Imperial is good too, really similar to 4711, maybe a little bit better, a bit more going on, but it's very similar. Lasts a bit better, but not a heck of a lot better. That's why I've left it out. It's similar to this, and it doesn't add a lot new to the game, and again, performance on that one not good. Eau de Guerlain actually performs well and has a bit more to it. So a lovely verdant and at the same time citrusy. So citrusy mixed with green in the opening, beautiful stuff. I think there might be a lime note in this one too. The official listing doesn't put one in there. Fruity notes, bergamots, I'm not going to list them all. Carnation, sandalwood and patchouli are in here. They've got jasmine and some mint too. Rose as well. So a bit more complex than some of the others. Actually reminds me a tiny bit of Dior's Eau Sauvage from 1966. And a very, very pleasant and very classy, slightly old school, refined kind of fragrance. Again, some kind of herbal feel with this one, floral tones, very nice citrus opening, but as it dries down you get a little bit more of what I feel is a slightly masculine, woody, yet very crisp and clean undertone. It's actually marketed as very much unisex, or some sites even say it's a women's fragrance, but I feel it leans a little bit towards the citrus aromatic masculine world of fragrances. It's a real beauty though, and I love spritzing this on in the hot weather. A classy and underrated gem from the house of Guerlain. Now then, moving on, we are going to go for something incredibly cheap. Tight-fisted viewers will be happy to hear. Lime Sec from PINAUD. This is called an eau de cologne. They're famous for their PINAUD Clubman aftershave. I've had it in a rather tacky plastic sprayer there. Love the juice colour. I don't think that's natural. And as the name would suggest, it's just a very, very pleasant soapy lime fragrance. If you like the note of lime, maybe candied lime, lime with a kind of sweety vibe. Very, very pleasant, very clean. Doesn't last terribly long, but it's a really beautiful smell. You can pick this one up, and this is where I bought it, on executiveshaving.co.uk. They ship in the UK and in the EU. If you're in the USA, I'm sure there are other places you can easily find this one. It's an American company. The 50ml that I got here is only £6. Yes, £6. Or you can get a 370ml splash, and I would actually just go with the splash and douse yourself, put it in your hands and go everywhere with this one, because it's kind of weak. And that's only £18 on Executive Shaving, and they have given me a code, Smelly10, gets you 10% off across their whole site, which is incredible. I don't profit from that. I actually bought this myself. They have now just sent me one new thing for free that I'm going to be featuring in an aftershaves video soon, Nevis. And it smells a heck of a lot like Green Irish Tweed, better than some of the famous clones, like what's the one, Armagh Très Nuit. It smells better than that. It's got better opening notes, it's crisper, really high quality stuff, and the splash bottle there of 100ml I think is like around about the £15 mark, which is incredible, and you get my 10% off with Smelly 10. I'll link them in the description. Really good site for some unheard of fragrances that can be really good. Moving on then, back to the eau de cologne theme. So PINAUD Lime Sec, if you like limes, highly recommended, and amazing prices on that one. So we are now going to go with ACQUA de Parma's Colonia, perhaps the obvious niche one to include in the list. First produced back in 1916 during the midst of World War I, made in Italy. Beautiful fragrance, the first one from the famous house of ACQUA de Parma. Again, it opens with citrusy, lemon, bergamot type accords. Quite a lot of florals going on here. You've got rose and jasmine, and it's got a sort of almost a powdery feel, a bit of a stuffy old-fashioned feel. I like that in kind of a good way for me, but not everyone's going to take to this one. Some people find it a little bit medicinal. Some people say it has a barbershop feel. It does have almost a sort of fougere-ishness about it. There's lavender in here, and it's got a little bit more depth than some of these that are just very, very citrusy. It's quite a lot going on actually in this fragrance. It's almost got a slight reminiscence, I've heard some people say, and I see the point, of Yves Saint Laurent's Kouros. There's just a hint of a kind of animalic muskiness in this one, which you don't necessarily associate with this style, but it's evolved so much over the years, and perhaps in 1916 it might have smelled a lot different. Who knows, they may have smelled a lot more pungent at various times in their development with different formulas, but a really nice citrus aromatic cologne. Is it now eau de toilette or eau de parfum in its actual concentration? They still call it cologne, so we think it's definitely worthy of inclusion in the list. If you find that a little bit old-fashioned, Colonia Assoluta is a beautiful alternative, very much in the traditional style, but without some of the powdery, dandified, stuffy elements of this one, and a great reimagining of it for the 21st century. Maybe I prefer the smell of Assoluta, so maybe they're a tie, those two. We've got one left. It's actually in my fridge, so I'm going to have to go and get it. Hang on. So the final one in the list is Agua de Colonia Concentrada from the house of Alvarez Gomez. This has one of the best performances for me in the list. Most reviews will say, or a lot of them will say, oh, it doesn't perform well. I've got a 150ml bottle which has a much bigger sprayer than my old 80ml. Maybe I'm therefore getting more juice. I've had it in the fridge today. It's been a bit warm, although not that sunny, but stuffy, and it's very, very refreshing and invigorating. This one really, I would say lemon and orange are the two standout notes. It really smells of lemons and oranges, like being in an orange grove in Spain or something like that, mixed with lavender. You get a lot of lavender in this one. So lavender, lemon and orange. There's also a sort of a spiciness, an indefined spiciness about the way these notes combine, and it's really, really beautiful. It's not the most effervescent or transparent. It's got because of that spiciness, it's almost got a sort of sticky feel, like you've put orange juice all over yourself. I mean, it's not actually sticky, don't worry, but it kind of sticks to your skin and has this spicy lavender mixed with beautiful, beautiful citrus. Really great Spanish traditional cologne from the early part of the 20th century, and yeah, a concentrated eau de cologne, they call it. Totally perfect to fit in this video as part of this tradition. One of the benchmarks in the style for me, and very, very affordably available. You can pick up this 150ml bottle, I think somewhere in the 20 to 30 pounds-ish range, and equivalent prices wherever you are in the world. So maybe my favorite in this list at this point in time, Agua de Colonia Concentrada Alvarez Gomez. That rounds out my citrus eau de cologne top 6 video. Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Mr. Smelly.